Hi there, it's Jilly, and today I'm going to be drawing this blue-haired girl. For this drawing, I decided to go with this sort of seated, relaxed, casual pose, because I really like poses like this, but for the longest time, I've been unable to draw them. I just couldn't make the character actually look like they're sort of slouching, so their arms could never properly reach their legs whenever I tried to do stuff like this. So now that I can, I am drawing them probably a little bit more than I should, but I really like how they look, so I'm gonna do it anyway. And for her hair, I went through quite a few hairstyles before I ended on one that I liked, and until I actually got much later in the drawing, I for a while wished that I had gone with the sort of undercut hair she had. And then for her clothes, I did originally, if you saw there, have a tight-fitting top, but I decided to switch to a jacket because I really need to work on jackets and other loose-fitting clothing because, I don't know, whenever I'm drawing sort of, like in my sketchbook traditionally, I always draw characters with tight-fitting shirts because when I get the, like the base roughed out, I always really like how it looks, and I don't want to ruin it by failing to put a jacket on top. But because I'm drawing digitally, and my sketches are so incredibly messy when I draw digitally that I need to do each part of them in a different color, or else I won't be able to tell what's what, and it'll make lining it basically impossible, which it almost already is impossible for me. Lining is incredibly difficult. But it made it so I didn't feel quite so bad about just putting a jacket over it, and because it's digital, if I didn't like the jacket, I could have just, deleted that layer and gone back to trying to do a tight-fitting tank top shirt thing. And here I'm working on the hands, which I never got the hands to a place where I was okay with them. Hands are one of those things that I really, really need to work on. They're getting better, like I can draw a thing that resembles a hand, but it's still not like, I'm a hand, I'm alive, I move and do hand things. It's just kind of like, I'm a stiff hand. Yeah, so hopefully much hand improvement in the future. At this point I had started coloring, and I didn't actually go in with like a plan for the colors of everything, but I knew that I wanted her to have sort of a very bright jacket, and the rest of her clothes to just sort of be kind of dark. So I went with this red jacket, and then I originally was going to make the accents sort of like a greeny gray color, but her pants were that color. So I didn't want that to be like too close to the same, and I also knew that I was going to make her hair like teal. So I ended up making them gold. And at first, I was like, oh my gosh, that's super bright and tacky, so I tried to make them a lighter gold, but that didn't work either, so I just went back to the normal gold. But once I got like the gold pieces colored, it looked a lot better. Or shaded, it looked a lot better. So here I'm just starting to fix up her hair, and after I started like shading and adjusting the liner of her hair, I liked it a lot better than I initially did. At first I didn't like her hair at all, but once I colored it, it got a lot better. And I thought the same thing would happen with her face, but it didn't. And with the shading, I originally was just going to do like cell shading, because I recently have been trying to do that, and I actually really like how it ends up looking, and I've struggled a little bit with sort of this like more smooth blendy shading, but I kind of just threw that out the window and just shaded how I normally did, but it actually ended up looking pretty good, so I'm kind of happy that I did that instead of trying to do the cell shading, because I'm not sure that I would have liked it as much as I ended up liking this. And you can see that the gold pieces are much less bright and tacky now that they have some darker, like, brassy color in them. And now I'm attempting to shade the skin, which it wasn't working. I ended up trying like 4 different times to shade the skin before giving up and just completely throwing out her face, because at this point I was in denial that there was something wrong with her face. Like, I kind of knew there was something off from the beginning, like it just wasn't looking how I wanted. I think her eyes were just too big, and her nose and mouth are just way too small. But at this point I was still telling myself, nah, if I just fix like the shading and the coloring, everything's gonna be okay. It'll look right. And then I gave up after a little bit. I gave up and decided to work on her shoe for a little bit and come back to the face. But when I come back to the face, I don't work on it anymore. I just throw it out. And then I also ended up changing her skin tone a little bit, just because I was having so much trouble with the other one that I just wanted a complete like fresh start on attempting to like shade and color her face. And then I also changed her head shape a little bit, so she ends up with a bit of more of a square face instead of the really round face that she had at the start. And at first I was like, oh, I'll just sketch it and reline it and that'll be fine, but then I ended up just cleaning up the sketch and using that instead, because the lining it wasn't working out, and I'd already thrown out the whole face, so I could have just redid it if it wasn't working out. And I was still having trouble with the irises and the pupils being the right shape, so I ended up cheating and like clicking the brush with the mouse to make a really like clean round line that I could trace. And here I widened her nose, which helped a lot, and this, I believe, is the final mouth shape that I went with. And I did go back to the purple eyes. I made them a lot less bright, which ended up making them look a lot better, and I liked them much better than the green eyes, which I think would have been much too close to the color of her hair. So here I'm just adding like a little bit of depth to her eyes and shading them and adding highlights and stuff. And it was around this point in time where I started to feel like I definitely made the right decision and scrapping her face. And I also I'm a little bit annoyed that I ended up painting on too small of a canvas. In Paint Tool size, if you end up making your canvas too big when you start to color and get all the details and different colors and information in the scene, Sai will run out of memory and it can crash. And so I ended up putting it what I thought was like the about right size to prevent that from happening, but I realized that I made it like 1/10 of the size that I should have. I was missing a 0 at the end of my numbers, so my canvas actually was a lot smaller than I would have liked, so the eyelashes and everything are kind of pixelated. Here I just really quickly shaded the hands, and I'm trying not to acknowledge their existence because I really don't like how they turned out. I do like, however, how this boot turned out. Not so much this one, but I really wish that I had actually colored the laces properly or drawn them more than just like a little line. Oh, and here I end up coloring in the line art, because if your line art is really messy like mine, coloring it in similar color to like what it's lining actually will help make it look a lot cleaner, even though it's not. And then I just quickly brought her into Photoshop to create like a little wall using the shape tools that Photoshop has, because Paint Tool doesn't have those. But I ended up bringing it back into Sai to do the shadows, because I don't really like coloring in Photoshop. And I just add like a little bit more color to the back of it so it doesn't look quite so awkward. And I ended up coloring in the buttons, because I almost forgot to do that. And that's pretty much it. I did end up adding some like little stray hairs that I didn't record, and some more shading to like her chest. But overall I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, except for obviously the hands, and I do think her left foot is quite a bit smaller than her right foot, and I wish that I had properly like drawn the shoelaces, but I really like how like her face turned out. So thanks for watching. Boy.